guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I made a video. Obviously, as you can tell by the title, this is my labor and delivery story, so I guess that can attest to why I have been MIA for about a month and a half. A lot has been going on. Obviously, I'm a new mother, so yeah. So the last video that I made was my 37-week update. I think it was like one day shy of 39 weeks or 38 weeks. And yeah, if you guys haven't watched that video, make sure you click the link up there and watch that so that you guys can be all caught up on my pregnancy updates if you've been, with me from the beginning. So anyways, I left off where I was talking about that 37-week video being possibly my last video as far as pregnancy updates go. And obviously it was, but I could have actually made a 39-week update or a 40-week update because I ended up getting an induction date set at my 39-week appointment. I had an induction date set for May 1st, and I would have been, I was 41 weeks then. So anyway, let's get into the story. So I go all the way to, my 41 week. The night before, I want to say 11, I started to have, the real thing. I was laying down and then I just felt like a contraction that I've never experienced before as far as pain goes. It started off as a Braxton Hicks contraction, like as far as like the tightening, but it was like really, really painful. It felt like, cramps that you get with your, for your period, but it was like way more intense, and I felt it in my back and my stomach all at the same time, and it was excruciating pain. Well, it wasn't excruciating, but it was a lot more intense than, having Braxton Hicks contractions. So that's going on, but they're not really that consistent, and for some reason I wasn't timing them because I was just like, it's probably gonna pass, I'm probably not even in labor. Plus I have my induction day, my induction for 7:30 in the next morning, so I'm pretty sure I can just ride this out for like, a few, well, not really a few hours. So that was going on, and they just kept coming, more consistent, and but they were still, probably 10 minutes apart or so. And I remember my best friend FaceTime me, right when this was going on, and I was like, this is crazy that you FaceTime me at this moment, because I literally just started having like, the real contractions. And she was just really shocked, and I was just like, yeah, this is crazy. And I was having contractions. I think I probably had like a couple while I was on, FaceTime with her, and it just really stops you, your breath, everything. Like you feel like you can't breathe, or it's so painful that you can't breathe. So I get off the phone with her, and I'm still having the contractions. I'm trying, to drink water, thinking it may be for me being dehydrated. I try laying down, switching positions, and none of that stuff is working. I'm still having contractions. For some reason, I'm still not timing them, but I can just kind of gauge that they're about 10 minutes apart. So that's probably why I didn't really, time them. Usually I think when you should start timing your contractions is when they're a little closer together, so that's probably why I didn't start to time them. I'm just riding it out, and I'm just having contractions. I can't sleep. I'm just tossing and turning, standing up, and with every contraction, strong contractions, I would vomit, literally like run to the bathroom and throw up. Every single time I had a strong contraction, and I was losing, what I now know is my mucus plug, along, with me having those contractions. And I was never losing any of my mucus plug, during my pregnancy. I would always see people say that they have been losing their mucus plug since they were like 30 weeks and all this. Like, I was not losing any of my mucus plug, and I started losing it. So I was like, okay, this might be the real thing, because this had never happened before, and now it's happening. So yeah, so I finally make it to about 6:30 when we actually get up and start getting ready. Mind you, I had not slept the whole entire time. I was literally up the entire time until, I had to be at the hospital, which wasn't a good idea because obviously I would have needed like a lot of sleep, and yeah, that didn't happen obviously with the contractions. So we finally make it to the hospital, and we're waiting about an hour for them to get us, checked in and all that stuff, the bed ready and all of that. And we get in there probably around 8:30 or so, and I have this nurse who was just really weird. I don't know. She was just a weird nurse. She kept downplaying like everything that I was, my contractions and stuff. She hooked me up to the monitors, seen that I was having contractions, and they weren't really close together. They were still probably about 10 minutes apart at this point, 7 to 10 minutes maybe. They just weren't really consistent. Some of them were intense, some of them weren't intense. They just were kind of not really staying consistent. So she was like, did you eat anything? And I was like, no, not really. I had a little bite of a hash brown, but she was like, oh my gosh, like, I cannot believe you didn't eat anything. Like, you're going to be here probably you could be here 5 days and blah, blah, blah. You're not going to be able to eat. And just being really over the top for no reason. And I'm just like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be in labor for 5 days. Like, you guys probably would not even let that happen. Anyways, she's just saying all this stuff, like just downplaying. It's like, oh, let me give you some fluids. You're probably dehydrated. That's probably why you're having contractions and blah, blah, blah. And mind you, I've never had an IV or anything like that, but I will never want an IV again because that mess really hurts. Like, if you've never had an IV, oh my goodness, it really hurts. But anyway, so yeah, they gave me the fluids, and I guess went through the fluid like pretty quickly, and she came back and she was like, oh my gosh, you were dehydrated. You just went back, through that whole bag of fluid. But I'm still having contractions, so clearly, I don't think that I was dehydrated or anything. I don't think the dehydration was causing contractions. I think this was actually, really happening. Like, I was really having contractions on my own. She lets me know that the doctor is about to come in to, check me to see how dilated I was. Mind you, my entire pregnancy, I had never been checked. I had never, none of that. Never been checked for dilation. So I had no idea where I stood. Yeah, so she's telling me the doctor is on her way. The doctor took, so long to get there, and she took like almost 2 hours to get there, from when they said that she was going to be there to check me. And she finally comes around 11 or so. And mind you, we got to the room at like 8:30. So she finally comes at around 11 and she checks me, and she's like, wow, you're like, mind you, side note, a lot of people really scared me about the cervix checks. And I kind of psyched myself up for it. I thought it would be very painful because literally 80% of people that I see, like, that talked about the cervix checks said that they were extremely painful. And for me, it wasn't painful. Like, it really wasn't. I just did whatever she told me to do, and it just wasn't painful. It was very uncomfortable. Her knuckles were like right at my, pubic bone or whatever. So that kind of hurt when she was, the pressure from that. But other than that, it just didn't really hurt. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. So she checks me and she's like, wow, your cervix is like really, really open. And she's like, wow, I think you're about 7 to 8 centimeters. And my head like almost flew off my shoulders. Like, I just could not believe that I was that, far as that far along as far as, my dilation. Like, I'd never been checked, so I had no idea. It was just really crazy when she told me that, and I was so shocked. I was just completely taken aback. I'd never been checked, so I had no, reference point to start from. I don't know if I was, this far dilated, last week or whatever, or I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the contractions I was having that, night or, the night before might have, sped things up, but I don't know. I don't know how it was 7 to 8 centimeters, but I just was. But she said something just didn't feel right, and she said that my baby was really, that he was high up, and she, obviously if you're 7 to 8 centimeters, you're supposed to be able to feel the head, practically right there. And she was just like, your baby's really high up, and, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he might be breech, but let me just get an ultrasound really quick and see, before I start making, decisions and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure he's not breech, because at my last appointment, my very last appointment, they checked me and they didn't say anything about him being breech or anything like that. So I just wasn't really worried. And she came back with the ultrasound machine, and she checked me, and she was like, Yeah, he's definitely not head down at this point. And I immediately started to cry because I was just like, are you serious? Like, I did not plan to have a C-section. I just planned to have a regular natural birth. I was really just afraid because I had never had any type of major surgery or any surgery, for that matter at all. So the thought of just having that surgery done, or, a C-section is like, oh my gosh, like no one just wants to hear that they have to have a C-section. But after that, I kind of calmed down. She told me that they could attempt to turn the baby, but if my waters had broke before they could turn the baby, that I would have to just have the C-section anyways, because the chances of him turning while they, without any water or anything to, help it along, was a very slim chance of him turning. So of course I started having contractions. I was having contractions and I was vomiting with my contractions, and I started to vomit and my water broke and water just went everywhere. And I told the nurse, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my water just broke. So obviously the whole procedure that they could have done was just completely out of the window, and I just had to have a C-section. And the nurse, the doctor was very apologetic, not that she had to be, but it's not her fault that my son was breech, but she was just like, I'm so sorry, you know what this means, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, in my head, like, yeah lady, I know what this means, like I have to have a C-section. And at this point I was like, okay, like I can't worry about the negatives. I just have to worry about my son just being here and getting out safe. I just was really calm after that. And you know they just had to have the had to get him out of there. And having a C-section, for some reason, like everything just goes really quickly. Things moved really fast after that. They started getting me prepped, um, cleaning my stomach off, and disconnecting the bed, and just it was a lot going on. So yeah, I'm finally getting wheeled into they give my boyfriend his like scrubs and all that stuff. My mom and my sister and my boyfriend's mother was there, and I'm pretty sure they were not expecting me to, they were just literally visiting me, and I'm pretty sure they weren't expecting to hear that I was going to have a C-section, or possibly see my son that soon. So it was just really crazy. So yeah, I'm getting wheeled into the OR, and it's just, I'm literally like a nervous wreck. Like I'm nervous, but I'm calm, but I'm nervous at the same time, if that makes sense. Like I'm not freaking out, I'm just nervous. So finally get there. It's really cold in there, really bright, and I'm just like, guys, just please just get this over with. I was so irritated while I was there because I was by myself. I had no one there with me. I had all these crazy people, like not crazy people, but just all these people I didn't know in my face. How are you? Da da da. Like, oh my gosh, how did you get to 78 centimeters? How did you labor so beautifully? Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, look, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who you people are. It's just so many people introducing themselves. I'm just like, okay, hi, yeah, just get this over with. Well, they give me the epidural or the spinal or whatever it was, and I guess the first time he didn't, get it right or something, because he had to do it over, and he was like, just relax your shoulders, because I was really tense. Like I was like nervous because but anyways, it didn't hurt. It was just like a little pinch or whatever, and it kind of made my leg jump. It wasn't really that big of a deal. So I'm finally numbed, and that is the weirdest feeling ever, being numb, like your legs, and just not having control of your lower body. Like my stomach all the way down, everything was numb. Well, they start the procedure, and obviously I can't feel anything, but I do feel like just pressure and all that. Like they said that I would. They said that I was going to feel pressure and all that stuff. After that, they're working probably about a good 30 minutes or so, and then finally my son came out, and I heard him cry, and I just, it was just a surreal moment for me. Like I just couldn't, for some reason I just didn't really have like any emotion. Like I don't know, it was just very surreal to me. But he was born at 12:53 p.m. He was 20 inches long, and he was 7 pounds 15 ounces. So he's a pretty big baby. He was basically 8 pounds, which is what I pretty much said he was going to be, considering that he was 1 week late. So I wasn't really shocked that he was 8 pounds. But after that, you know, they got me back, you know, together and all of that, and went to the recovery room for a couple hours. A lot of stuff was pretty hazy. I know a lot of my family members came in and visited me, my friend and stuff, and yeah, that was basically it. That was my labor and delivery story. It was very, like, I just didn't expect what happened to happen. Like, you know, I expected to go through the whole induction process, which I'm so glad that I didn't have to go through. But either way, he got here the way he got here, and he's healthy, and he is exactly 1 month old today, and he's actually right here next to me, but he's sleeping, and I'm kind of hoping he wakes up so I can show you guys him, you know, without him actually sleeping. But yeah, so that is my labor and delivery story. If you guys want to see any other type of videos, just let me know, write a comment below, and I will do my best to make the video for you guys. But yeah, so I guess I will show you guys my son Cameron Xavier. So this is my son Cameron. Here he is. See, that light is bright. Yep, so he is 1 month old today. He was born on May 1st, and he just woke up. I had to, well, I didn't wake him up. Someone else woke him up. But he needs to wake up anyway because he hasn't eaten. But here he is, my little boy. So yeah, like I said, you guys, if you want to see any other videos, I'm sure I'll have other videos on here though. Let me know. Just leave a comment, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Say bye. Say I'm sleepy.